All right, we are live. We are live. It is 10 o'clock in the evening on this side of the world. First things first, if my Wi Fi is buffering, it is buffering because I can see the Wi Fi sign, which means there's maybe a problem with my connection. I'm not supposed to see it in order for the internet to work and for you to be able to see me and hear me. So if I do get stuck or I disappear or your screen gets dark, please let me know so that I can try and maneuver around this issue. I've been trying to see how I can deal with it in the past hour or so, but it's not relenting at all. So, with that aside, I just want to say to everybody that is a veteran, happy Veterans Day. I'm so I'm celebrating with you. I don't know what the celebration is about. I know that it has something to do with your service in the U.S. Army and serving your country and things of that nature. So if you served, I'm sure the American public is very grateful for your service and things of that nature. And so I just also want to pass other than that, guys, I did a shorts not so long ago. I think it was about 3 days ago, if not 4 days ago or 2 days ago. I can't remember. I was talking about Thanksgiving, and a lot of questions popped from that shorts. Some of you were quite interested to know, does South Africans or do South Africa or does South Africans or something of that nature celebrate Thanksgiving? And I was like, our Thanksgiving is different. And it's not the at the same time around the US Thanksgiving for us. We are black people in Africa. Of course, we're Africans, and we have African cultural beliefs. Again, I don't like speaking for any other culture or any other tribe for that matter, even though our cultural practices are similar somewhere, somehow. But I still don't want to say something only to find out that other cultures, though black and African, may say, actually, that's not true. This is not how we do it. So that's why I'm more comfortable in talking to you about my own culture, which is the Zulu culture. And also within the Zulu culture, each family does things differently, even though it's similar in nature. So I might say something that my family, the Dumagutes, do when they slaughter, because in my family culture, a sheep is a must when we do a traditional do. A traditional do basically it is where either when somebody passes on, a year after they've passed on, we will do what we call umsebens. Sometimes umsebens is done not too far off the time they were buried. Some people they do it 6 months later, other people do it 12 months later, other people do it 2 weeks later, others even 7 days later, others 3 days later. From what I've heard, in my family, it's after 12 months since somebody has passed on. Then again, it will depend whether it was a male that passed on or a female. If it was a female, we look at seniority, how old they were. If they were old enough, let's say from the age of 65 going up, there are particular animals that will slaughter. Part of those animals will be a cow and a goat. And I think I've mentioned this several times on my podcast that a goat in the Zulu culture is our messenger to the ancestors. And so we do not eat goat meat nilly willy. If I come or I walk into your house and you are dishing up goat meat, the first question I'm going to ask is so what was the do about? And if you say, no, we're just eating goat meat for the fun of it, I will not eat it. See, because for us, a goat, there's a purpose for a slaughter of a goat. That is why if you come to our butchers in South Africa, you will see you will not see goat. Sometimes we have to go through these difficulties. I will see how long we can be on this live. If it continues, then we are going to just, you know, we'll have to relent. We'll have to let it be and not force things, because the last thing I want is the replay to look horrible, where I freeze, where you're probably frustrated with the flow of the live stream. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Wi-Fi today is not behaving. Absolutely. Even on mobile today, it has not been behaving at all. I do not know why, because there's not been load shedding in like 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. So I do not understand why Wi-Fi will be giving me problems. But anyways, let me go back to celebrations. And again, if you are here, happy Veterans Day. If you are a veteran and you believe and celebrate this day, happy Veterans Day to you. And I'm sure, as I said earlier, the American uh, populace is grateful for your service. Sincere Supreme, good evening. Sincere Supreme here. How are you doing, Sincere Supreme? Thank you so much. You're the first one to be here. Thank you so much. I appreciate caught on what I'm talking about here today. I'm talking about a short that I posted a few days ago. The second today is giving me issues. So if I freeze now and again, please be patient with me. It's stuff that I have no control over currently. And let me go back to what I was talking about. Uh, that Thanksgiving to us, it's any time of the year, absolutely any time of the year. Usually when we do Thanksgiving, but I want to explain this in such a way that I get to the Thanksgiving part and how the ancestors play a role in our Thanksgiving. So as I was saying that when an elder person dies, we look at seniority, how old the person was. That will determine the kind of animal we are going to slaughter. If it's a male, it is a given that it's going to be a cow as well as a goat that is going to be slaughtered. However, in the Dumagutes, my family, again, the Dumagutes, not all the Dumagutes do the same thing. But my Dumagute, the one that I was brought up under, I was taught that we slaughter a cow, we slaughter a goat, and we also slaughter a sheep. These three animals, they are a must. If it's not a cow, it at least a goat and the sheep. They are a must. You do not leave out the sheep. And the question I will always ask was, why should we leave out the sheep? Because other Zulus do not slaughter, or part of the traditional do, a sheep is not part of it. It's just a goat and or a cow or both. Why ask there must be a sheep? So nobody necessarily has the answer. I think the answer got lost along the way with the generations, but everybody remembers that in the Tumagutes, when we slaughter for the ancestors, a sheep is a must. We do slaughter chickens as well, but it's a rare for the Tumagutes, and I think it's also rare for the Zulus to just slaughter chickens alone. Maybe others do, I don't. I think as well, look at the budget, you do actually announce and tell the ancestors that, listen, I do not have the 20,000 Rand for a cow. I don't have this for this and this and that. So please accept what we got. Maybe it's two chickens, or it's five chickens, or a chicken. I don't know. But the point that I'm trying to make is, so there will be a death of an elder or death of elders. That's how for us we always looked at death, that it has, as it's attached to older people. Why? Because for us, when a young person dies, it's a shock. And it's especially when it's a child that dies before their parent. Let's say me, for example, at my age, I pass on and my parents are still alive. It's something that is unacceptable. Not that it's unacceptable in a sense like, no, this is unacceptable, but it is hard to accept that I'm the one who went before my parents did. For us in the Zulu culture, the parents go first, but of age, because of old age, not because they got knocked down by a car, because all of those things we did not have like cars, guns, knives. Okay, maybe we did have knives, but spears, anything that was man made, we did not die from that. We died from natural causes. And in most cases, those natural causes were due to old age. So now that we live in the modern day where there's now man-made weapons and things like that, and plus diseases as well that come from all over the world, and they come and infect us. Chances are the younger people will go first before the parents. So same thing. When a young person dies, we believe that now that they are gone, they're now closer to God. And since they are closer to God, they become our messengers to God. So that we say to them is be a good ancestor. In Zulu, we say "Iba idlozi elihle." Meaning that be a good ancestor, be an ancestor that when we slaughter and we are in a quest, please make sure that you do not turn away from us. Maybe because when you left Earth, you were angry with somebody in life. That is why in the Zulu culture, it's not good to go to bed angry. Because you never know what might happen. Something happens to you and you don't wake up in the morning and you were angry at me, so that means you will never be I am so sorry. Let's see who's is this me? I'm in two screens now. What's happening? What's happening? Okay, there we go. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I disappeared because the Wi-Fi is giving me problems. Let's see. Sincere says, "What is the average lifespan on South African citizens?" Hmm, what's the lifespan again? I think it's 65. Yeah, I think it's around 65. It dropped. It has dropped. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to lie on that one. But I think it's 60, 65, somewhere there. That's the lifespan of an average South African. But I would also say, I would also dispute that to an extent because there's a lot of people, especially in the black community, that live very, very, very long lives. Sometimes they outlive their children. If you go back to the days of HIV and AIDS, Yeah, it really dropped. I think it had dropped drastic. I can't remember what the statistics were. It was just it was bleak. Let me put it that way. Now that the people are more wiser and more careful, plus now you have medication that prolongs your life if you are positive. I think the lifespan has kind of like increased. That is why I think it's 65. I could be wrong. I stand corrected on that one. Somebody who's a South African who may know. I know census was dropped a few weeks ago. I don't know. I don't want to lie to you. Honestly speaking, I'll have to look into it. Then in the next live, I will come back and let you know what is the average lifespan of a South African citizen. Other than that, I don't know. Right now, I'll be lying to you honestly. So the point that I was trying to make earlier is that when we celebrate Thanksgiving, it's when things are going well in our lives. Everything is going well. Everybody is healthy. Everybody is working. Positive things are happening. We believe that that is the blessing of our ancestors. So that is why we need to give thanks. Because if we do not give thanks, for example, I've been looking for a job for such a long time, and I have been begging for this job in a form of a prayer or in a form of us burning incense, what we call impepo, in the family center and speak to the ancestors. I'm like, hey, I got a degree. I've been graduated since 2020, 2023. I haven't gotten a job. Please open the ways for me to get a job, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually I do find the job. I need to go back now and say, hey, I got the job. Thank you for what do you call this, for giving me this job. And then you reserve a date later in the year. So let's say you get the job in January, and then the first week of January, then you probably slaughter chicken, and just letting them know that you did get a job. Now you're going to have to start saving up for something bigger to celebrate together with the ancestors for this particular job. So that will actually take a few months for you to do that. Maybe you will do this in June or maybe around this time of the year. Many people are doing a lot of Thanksgiving celebrations to the ancestors around this time of the year because it's something that they planned as far back as January. So you need to save because cows are expensive, sheep are expensive, goats are expensive. The whole shebang is quite expensive these days. It's no longer like back in the day where you could just walk into your kraal and then take a goat and take a sheep and take a cow, slaughter it for the ancestors to be married together with your neighbors and the community and everybody. So now these days we live in modernity, we live in cities and urban areas, and we no longer have animals of our own, like having crows, unless you go to the rural areas of South Africa. Anyway, in South Africa, where it's rural and the rural black people own animals, yeah, that it's easier for them to just walk into a crowd and come out with an animal, slaughter it, and then they celebrate in Thanksgiving to their ancestors for whatever is going on. But we also go to the ancestors when things are bad, like really, really bad. You are just having a wave of bad luck. Everything that you're trying to do simply does not is not happening. One of the things which is a little bit, I always found this one to be a very funny, which actually keeps me also very, very conscious because as I grow older, and then when you're carrying a beverage, especially when it's alcoholic beverage, they say do not let that spill on the floor, especially on like a dirt ground, because that signifies that your ancestors are thirsty. Now, when ancestors are thirsty, it's not just they want alcohol, they want the whole show. Slaughter of a cow, slaughter of a goat, slaughter of in my family sheep as well. All of that can cost around 50,000 rand. I'm not quite sure what is 50,000 rand in US dollars. Let me just check. What is that so that you get to understand? 50,000 rand is a lot of money, by the way, just to let you know. Here in South Africa, you can almost buy a car with that amount of money. But let's check what is 50,000 rand in US dollars. 50,000 rand, 50,000 rand. To US dollars, that is $2,670. That's how much it is. For us, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And then it could take you the entire year to save it to buy. Maybe it will take you 3 to 4 months just to get money for the cow. And there's a certain cow, especially in my family, you just don't go and buy a cow. There's a certain cow, it's called a different name, it's of a different breed. It's a it's work. And that cow is very expensive for us as well. So if you spill a beverage, just know that that's a message from the ancestors. They want you to do a traditional do. And you cannot ignore that because it's a sign. If you spill food, same thing. Like let's say you were just holding a bowl of plates and it just falls, and yet you believe that your hands had secured it, but somewhere somehow it just fell off your hand and then it spilled all over the floor. Yeah, the ancestors say about that time. So if it happens and you're poor, many people cry rivers. Like, oh my goodness, why would my ancestors want to do something like this to me? I don't have the money to slaughter a cow, let alone a chicken. It becomes very, very difficult. So all of this that I'm saying, it's revolving around the question of Thanksgiving if we celebrate it in South Africa. And the answer no, we do not celebrate the type of Thanksgiving that the Americans celebrate. I read a little bit more about that one and I was like, whoo, I'm not quite sure how Thanksgiving. I don't know exactly how to put this, and I don't mean to be offensive in what I'm about to say, but the question is like, this is a celebration of harvest, right? And if I read correctly, it started somewhere, or it's a harvest of 1621. Now, if my math is correct, wouldn't that be around the same time as the transatlantic slave trade? And obviously, to me, the people that were plowing the land and harvesting the produce, whenever this these people was the people that were taken from Africa. And so who celebrated? And in that celebration, where the people that were taken from Africa also included in those celebrations? That's the question that I was like, I'm not seeing the answer. However, if I do look at what's happening currently, when you look at Facebook, Twitter, X today, or you look at Instagram, you do see people celebrating Thanksgiving. You'll see them saying Happy Thanksgiving, and they'll have like these big dinners with the turkey in the middle, and having family reunions around that. And then I would have another group of people be like, no, 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 do not wish me Happy Thanksgiving. That is what. And I, for me, it's a little bit confusing because it's not something that I celebrate, of course. It's not something that is taught in our history books here in Africa, not just South Africa, but in Africa. I am aware of Thanksgiving. I've always been aware of Thanksgiving, but I did not know the history of Thanksgiving. Right now that I know the history of Thanksgiving, I find it a little bit conflicting for me to say, okay, Black people celebrate Thanksgiving in the US, Maybe because it's an American culture, and then they are part and parcel of that American culture. And I don't have an issue with that. If you don't have an issue with that, cool. But I'm so interested to hear more. How do you feel? Excuse me, you as a black person celebrating Thanksgiving. I see Sincere Supreme said it's a tragic history. That's it. That to me, it spells exactly that harvest of 1621 was on the backs of enslaved people, people that were kidnapped from Africa, and they were enslaved in the United States. And as a result of that, I think it happened somewhere in the south of the US. And if I understand very well, the southern part of the US was the most atrocious towards Black people, all the way up to the 1960s. And probably they were the most difficult to let go. First, I think they had it bad when they had to release slaves as free people. And even in 1960s, they still did not want black people to have any civil rights whatsoever. And so now you have Thanksgiving. To me, it sounds and looks and feels like a thorn on black people, but at the same time, black people, not all, some black Americans may find themselves in a catch 22. Like, hey, I'm an American citizen, everything American, I'm going to celebrate it, including Thanksgiving, as tragic as it is. I, that's where I'm a little bit like, I need to be educated on this one. Those that celebrated, please educate me. On what grounds do you celebrate it, and do you ignore what had happened? Does that play any significant role at all when you sit down with your family on Thanksgiving, and you have a turkey and you're having a great conversation as a family, and I don't know, catching up on things that you've been doing during the course of the year? I'm interested to hear. I know that being thankful is extremely important. I believe, and as a matter of fact, in the Zulu culture, again, actually in the African culture, let me put it that way, Ubuntu, or Thanksgiving is part of Ubuntu. I am because you are, and therefore pay you forward. You understand what I'm trying to say? If I have and you don't have, I come in thanksgiving. I will say, I am thankful to my ancestors who have blessed me with XYZ, and now I'm paying it forward to you as a form of thanksgiving to you and bless you so that you too pay it forward to other people. That's just the concept of Ubuntu, which Thanksgiving is part and parcel of it, because that Thanksgiving is to my ancestors when they bless me with whatever that they want to bless me with. Sometimes it's our ancestors will just bless you without you having to ask anything. There are people that live a very, very interesting life. Interesting life. They will tell you that I don't believe in anything but my ancestors. I don't believe in a colonial way of believing in the higher power. Of course, they'll tell you I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in that. That's not a African cultural thing. It was imported with the white people. I even had a conversation with someone who said, which kind of like made sense to me because they're kind of like breaking everything down. They said that when white men came to Africa, he came with three elements on the ship. He came with a gun, that's politics. He came with Shakespeare, that's education. And then he came with the Bible, that is religion, Christianity. And funny enough, if you come to Africa right now, these three elements are so prevalent. There are parts of Africa that is torn, all because there's a group that is serving the European so that the Europeans can continue to uh, to steal from Africa, and they supply them with guns. and then that changes the political landscape of these African countries that are war torn. And then South Africa is no exception to the rule because we are also using politics, sentimental politics, to keep a certain group in power, even though they don't care about the people of South Africa. And then when you try to change your mind, you get told, yeah, because you are clever black. Now, the whole concept of clever black is a way of mentally, emotionally, politically, even intellectually manipulate people that went to school, like people with degrees, people who are critical thinkers, and they are told that they are actually the enemies of the state. And this almost succeeded in South Africa, again, using education, Shakespeare, that they came with to divide us as black people. We are united, but somebody is able to trigger us. There's a button that I believe that South Africans have, and they know which button to press if they want to divert away from corruption, from the ineptitude of running a government and things of that nature. And then you have religion, which also plays a huge role in making a lot of people almost like racing horses. You know, they only have like blinkers. They don't see on the basically no open mindedness. So they use religion to clamp down on critical thinking. Like, oh, would Jesus do that? Would Jesus think the way you're thinking? Would Jesus ask that question? Which now leaves you thinking, so I'm not supposed to ask questions. And then somebody will open a scripture and say, how dare you ask God? And you're like, no, I'm not asking God. I'm just getting clarification because you are closer to God. And since you call yourself a man of God, I'm asking, and then you get shut down. Like, that is how this individual explained it to me and says, that is why I believe in my culture. That in my culture, it is straight and narrow. All I do, if I want something, I go to my ancestors. I burn incense. I speak to my ancestors, ask them to give me a sign if they want something from me, or they just say, okay, at least you gave us attention, and then they'll give you what you want. Or, like I said, you spill something accidentally, maybe a beverage of some sort, that's a sign that you need to start slaughtering, and then brew African beer. By the way, it's not very nice. It's like fermented sorghum thing, but it's an African beer. So those are the things that we do in Thanksgiving when good things are happening in our lives. We give thanks to our ancestors, and this can happen at any given time of the year. There's no specific time of the year. Same thing when the rains come down. We in Africa, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for other African countries, but any black person in South Africa will tell you when it rains, it's a sign of blessing because water is life. If there are droughts, we believe that our ancestors they are angry. There is something that we need to appease them with, and you'll find that many black homes basically slaughtering a cow or goats to speak to the ancestors to open the heavens for the rains. Especially if you are a farmer or you have a small garden patch in the backyard and you live off that garden patch throughout the course of the year. And since there are no rains, so you think, okay, maybe my ancestors are a little bit angry. Let me appease them with this and appease them with maybe in my last harvest, I did not give thanks. And then you make an apology, and then the heavens will open and then cultivate the land. And then you do all those incredible things. Apart from thinking that if I open a scripture and then I go to a particular chapter and a verse, and then the skies will open, many black people don't believe that, especially the Zulu people. They're quite stubborn when it comes to the African cultural beliefs, especially the Zulu cultural beliefs. Christianity tried to penetrate, but I think now in recent years, which is I think quite ironic, Christianity has kind of like crept in into the Zulu culture, and I think somehow it's also kind of like taking over in some aspects. If you look at the Zulu royal household, the Zulu king, when he passed on, he said, "I am a Christian. I want Christian practices to be performed in my funeral." And exactly that's what happened. He was not buried like all the other Zulu royal kings have been buried before. He was buried in a coffin. Usually in the Zulu culture, there's no coffin. There's a grass mat that is woven, and then you are laid on it. And then our grave for Zulu people is not just 6 feet under, it is 6 feet, but there's also a shelf that is dug horizontally. And that's where your body will kind of like go into that little shelf underground. And then they just bury the whole, subsequently you as well. So he was not buried that way. He was buried in a Christian way, from what I heard. And I was like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. Some people will say, oh, progressive. Other people will be like, oh, that is a betrayal of our ancestry and cultural practices and things like that. But there was never a debate or an argument because people these days are very open minded. Unlike before, they would have been like, what? you know? So, again, for me, each their own. I am never going to come and impose anything that I believe onto anyone else. I will never do that. I don't believe in that either. Do you do whatever uh, that makes you happy and that makes sense to you. That's just me. Okay, let me go to the chats or the live chat. Oh yeah, Sincere Supreme, I will check for you in the next live your question, the answer to your question. Sincere says it's a tragic history. Yeah, the Thanksgiving the U.S. celebrates. To me, yeah, it also feels like from where I'm sitting, like that's tragic. That's actually tragic when you're sitting around Thanksgiving dinner. I would not have an issue if I hear that it's improvised into Black people thanking or being thankful for life, for good health, for things going well in their lives and the family and things of that nature. I would not have an issue with that. But I still want to know, where do you stand with it? Do you celebrate it? If you do, why? If you don't, okay, I get it, but I'm still interested to know why as well. Since Supreme says slavery existed in both North and South. Yes, no, no, no. I do understand that. But what I'm trying to say is, from what I've been reading when it comes to American history, the South was quite stubborn in letting go. Same goes with slavery. They all the northern parts of the U.S. had okay abolished slavery, but the South was still holding on despite a law had been passed. They still try their ways and means of manipulating so that they can keep enslaved people to continue working for, or at least they worked around and manipulated the law that played in their favor. But when you look closer with what do you call this, a magnifying glass, that's slavery, but they will tell you something totally different. Yeah, something like that. So no, no, no. I do understand that slavery existed throughout. Everywhere in the U.S. it existed. I do get that. America was built on our ancestors' blood. Yes, that part I do believe as well. The Rock says, "What's up, Clancy's from Foundational Black America? What's up, The Rock? Thank you so much for joining. I highly appreciate there's 4 people in the live today. I'm not quite sure if oh yeah, today, like I said, if you are a veteran, happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much for being here. Probably you're supposed to be out there doing your thing, but I appreciate you being here. So again, I would also like to be educated around Veterans Day. What exactly is it about? I get it. It's to thank. the servicemen and women that has served the United or the people of the United States, wherever they may have protected the national security of the United States, probably some part of the world as well. I'm not very learned when it comes to this. I just saw it running around social media today, as I am being friends with more and more and more and more African Americans, especially this year, 2023, and I'm seeing a lot of celebrations of Veterans Day going on. So it kind of like piqued my interest, like what exactly it is. I haven't read in depth about it, but I find it quite interesting that something like this is happening. I don't know why South Africa doesn't have it, because I would assume that the people that are protecting national security are people that needs to be hyped up, whether they are still in service or after service. I think they still need to be celebrated nevertheless, wherever they are in the world, whichever country. So I feel like the United States kind of like have it right with that. I don't know if this would be a okay, I don't know. I've seen many American military soldiers wearing this type of chain. This is just for fashion. It's got not there's nothing on this. But I kind of like wore it to say, "Hey, Happy Veterans Day." I don't know. Maybe I got the wrong memo, and I'm wearing something that has absolutely nothing to do with American military. I don't know. Please educate me. Yeah, so I thought because I've seen it many American soldiers wearing this kind of chain. I don't even know what it means or what's if there's any encryption or braiding. I don't know, but I'm just wearing it because I always liked it and I always thought, hey, I want to buy something like this and wear it. But since it is Veterans Day today, I thought maybe, hey, let me honor the if my subscribers in this channel if they are veterans themselves. The Rob says Veterans Day is just to honor those who served in the United States Armed Forces. Yeah, I feel like other countries should do the same thing. I mean, giving your life up for your country, whether the country is at war or not at war. You just have to always look at what if it goes to war someday. You need to hype these people up, thank them. Like, if a war had to break out in South Africa, I know I'm safe. There is somebody out there that is going to rescue, I mean, to risk their lives to rescue me so that I get to live. I think this concept, I like this concept. I don't want to lie. I like this concept 100%. And I've seen that it kind of like unites the United States because I see black and white Americans, including Aboriginal Americans, the Indians, American Indians. They, am I saying it correctly? Oh my goodness, I hope I didn't say anything wrong. I see everybody celebrating this or honoring the veterans. So it looks like it's a good thing, I think. It sounds and looks and feels like a good thing from where I am sitting. Yeah. So I don't know. Does anybody want to come through and talk to me? I will leave a link. I will leave a link. I'm always the only one that's talking. I would like to hear what's on your mind. Or maybe you can communicate with me via the live chat. Remember, we agreed that we are going to do a 1 hour live when I come live, but I would still like to see somebody or hear somebody's voice. You don't have to turn on the camera. You can just switch off the camera and then but switch on the microphone so we can talk. I'm feeling a little bit lonely on this side, and my joy's kind of like sore is what I'm talking. Not that I don't have anything to say, I got a lot to say, but I also want to allow you to control the live stream as well. If you've got questions or you want to share something, if you are a veteran, Hey, I want to hear how's it like? How was your years of service? Why did you join the army? Or is it the whether it's the Navy SEAL, the army, I don't know. I don't know what the correct terminology is when it comes to that. Funny enough, when I was a kid, I thought I was going to be a soldier. I don't know what was running across my mind. I think back then, because I grew up when apartheid was about to die, but I still remember watching a lot of military type of movies. For some reason, they were giving us those sort of movies to watch. If it was not those kind of movies, it was the West, the cowboys and duel. We used to watch a lot of that. We used to watch a lot of Chinese karate movies. That's how we got to know about Bruce Lee. And then as time went on, then we started getting a lot of American movies where we used to watch Van Damme, we used to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, and then we started. Everything was just gradual from there. But I think I gravitated heavily on movies about the army. If I do watch a movie regarding the army today, I always like military intelligence. Those type of movies they fascinate me. I get very fascinated because I like using my brain. I like my brain getting challenged while I am watching. If it's something to be solved, yeah, I'll be jumping on. The movie is it Born? Is it Born? Yeah, like Born, Spartan. Uh, there's a lot. There are a lot of movies but you get what I'm trying to say. Along those lines, something about those movies that really gets me very interested in watching throughout. So I say nobody's coming through. Anyone there? I say there's four of you here, and I'm not chasing you away. I would like to hear something from you. I know it's Saturday. It's Saturday. Today I went to a YouTube event. I was invited by YouTube. That's why I'm looking a little bit dapper today. Was invited to a YouTube event. It was great. It was for a whopping 7 hours. We were there since 11, and it finished around 7 this evening. And so I had to rush back and get myself ready for this live as well. So it was a great day. It was a great day of learning, a great day of also creating. Uh, with YouTube, you always learn something new. And also, this type of invitation is almost like when an artist, like the Grammys, and then you get invited to the Grammys. That's exactly how it feels. That's YouTubers' Grammys or the Academy Awards. Even though we don't walk away with any awards, but we do get like a gift pack of some sort. I came back with these glasses, but with slippers as well. I see it's written YouTube right there. So those are the stuff that we got. Whether you call it as an award or what, I don't know. But it was quite interesting to experience this incredible day that you could put together for us, and I was very happy. I'm very happy still, quite happy. Anyways, guys, I think maybe it's safe to say we can end the live here, right? Is that okay? Unless you have a question, I'll give you 5 seconds. Actually, no. Let me give you 30 seconds, so because you still have to type, right? And if there's none, then let's say good night on my side. It is 10 to 11 p.m. on my side. And yeah, and I can also feel the day actually wearing, it's sitting heavy on me as well. I just need to go take a shower, get into my PJs, and then get to bed and sleep. And then, yeah, see what happens thereafter. Guys, let me say good night. Good day, good morning. uh, whatever time it is on your side of the world. Thank you for joining me. I thought, let me answer that question regarding Thanksgiving because, in a short, a lot of questions popped up, but lots of emails regarding that, and said, please explain it in your live, and then I did. So it is a replay right now, and once I turned off or end the stream, and then you can check it out. Guys, thank you so much. And let me see you again next week, Saturday. I highly appreciate you all. Much love. And once again, happy Veterans Day if you are a military personnel who served or still serving in the U.S. Army. Thank you guys so much. See you next time. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Nisalegash. That's Zulu's for goodbye.